What's going on, everybody? My name's Nick. Decided I wanted to try something a little different today. I don't really do any sort of YouTube videos right now. I am mainly just a gamer on my downtime. I enjoy playing things like HOI4. As you can see, I'm using the Road to 56 mod as well. But I decided I wanted to go ahead and record a small series, I suppose. And I'm going to start by playing as what is definitely my favorite country in the game, which is Nationalist China. The reason I love playing Nationalist China, and there's a lot of them, but one, obviously, unlimited manpower, late game, absolutely one of the best things in the world, just to be able to churn out units like no tomorrow. You also are one of the first people who can dive right into war. Asia in general is usually where a lot of conflicts break out first in the game. So that's nice that you're not sitting around like you would be in a lot of other situations. And unlike a lot of other smaller nations, not that China is necessarily small, they have a lot of potential and they're large in their own respect. But I suppose I should say undeveloped nations. You definitely have a chance to do a lot of great things with China. You definitely have the ability to make a very drastic effect on the world. I usually play with non-historical AI simply because it spices things up all around the world, and sometimes it means Japan won't immediately try to eat you, which is always a nice thing, but if it happens, it happens. But yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot. I will brief this with the fact that I'm not a amazing HOI4 player by any means. There are many, many much better players out there. So if you're looking for somebody to watch and go, hey, this is how I should learn to play the game, don't watch this. This is not what you should be looking for. This is simply me having a good time. If somebody's watching this and goes, hey, you're doing this wrong, or hey, you should be doing something along the lines of this, feel free to tell me, because I'm learning. I've been playing the game for quite a while, but anybody who plays HOI4 knows it's a pretty complex game. So once you've been playing for a while, you tend to think you know more than you actually do. I'm willing to admit that I probably have a lot of improvement left to go. So I'm going to leave it on regular, because why not? Yeah, let's dive into it. Select single player here. So the first thing I always like to do is I like to go and do my national focus. And as China, maybe this isn't the best route to take. I know there's probably some people that will go otherwise, but I feel like it's very important as China, simply because you have no idea what the Japanese are going to do, and with them being fascist, you literally can't tell. I always felt it was a good idea to immediately start working on the side of your focus tree that moves towards getting China a little more organized. So I'm going to go with prioritize the internal stability. I don't care for forming the Chinese United Front, simply because I enjoy taking over China. So at the end of the day, if Japan comes after me, I will try and deal with that the best I can. If I die, I die. It is what it is. But hopefully, Japan is either slow or simply doesn't do it. There are a lot of paths they can take that will avoid the war with China entirely on their end. Their focus tree path, going down support the Dakota faction, they can still go to war with you eventually going down this path. They do just go non-aligned. It's not like they're going democratic here. They can go democratic, and that will most likely avoid war with you completely, I believe. I don't think any of this leads to war against me. But with the Dakota faction, it essentially means that it's going to be pushed off for considerably long enough to allow China to develop. Whereas if they go with Purge the Dakota faction, they are most certainly going to destroy me quickly using the Marco Polo Bridge incident to get that war up and going quickly. I don't know if I've ever actually seen China go down this path in any of my games, but the communist path is also an option, I suppose. Outdated equipment, I'm going to leave that like that simply because we need guns. I don't think we're in that bad of a deficit. Of course, this is going to update momentarily. But knowing that we're probably going to be dragged into quite a few wars, I'm going to leave my guns like that. I don't believe we can produce it. We can produce artillery. I'm going to produce some of that. We're low on resources. We need steel. I also only typically get steel in this scenario, and I try to get it from somewhere where I don't need convoys. Obviously, with the United States, they are all the way across the ocean, so need convoys for that. We're going to do it with the French, because French Indochina right there. So we're going to ignore the outdated equipment for now. Free civilian factories. Now, I believe we get massive negatives to building things, if I'm not wrong. Maybe? Perhaps I'm stupid. That does say incompetent army. I don't know why that would have any effect. Maybe it's the corrupted. Okay, yeah, there it is. The factory construction speeds. We have a negative 70% modifier to that. So it's in general. I don't build factories early on as China. The things I try to go for are infrastructure a lot of the times. Something I might try this game actually, because I always get into wars. I forget. I believe it's with Communist China, where I cannot for the life of me get good air dominance on them, because the only airports I have are right here and right here. So I might actually start this game off by building a airfield right here, right next to Communist China. That way, when the war does pop up, I can get dominance over the air really easily right here, and that helps a lot with advancing on the enemy, especially in scenarios like this where we're all behind on tech and we're all going to be low on equipment. So it's kind of just going to be a slog fest. So you really need all the benefits you can get. The one crappy thing is that when you go to war with the Chinese Soviet Republic, you always, at least in Road to 56, I don't believe this is a base game thing, but if you've taken Shaanxi, they actually have divisions that pop up right here, and it's a lot of them. It's like 16 divisions. If you stop them, you'll starve them out. If you keep them from connecting with the actual country, you can starve them out up here, and it's not a big deal. You just sit here and wait for them to die off, and then you just march on them and finish them. But if you don't stop them, they will connect with the rest of Communist China, and then it becomes a lot harder, because initially Communist China doesn't stand much of a chance fighting you unless you let them reconnect with those divisions, in which case you're going to have a not fun time. That guy, there we go. I believe that's all our units. Could be nuts. Where's the last one? Right here. Alright. That's all the units. Outstanding. I'm just assigning generals to everything. Go sit on that border. Why not? It doesn't really matter all that much where I put my troops right now. Research-wise, we got 3 research slots. I think it's pretty safe. Then again, I say it's safe. China also has the dreaded negative 40% to their research speed because of their public illiteracy. So that makes it a lot harder to research things. But in general, the same basic research ideas that you got going here. Pretty standard, I believe, at least from what I've seen. Nothing we want to do here. Stupid Road to 56 extras. Don't care about those. Yeah, I think we're ready to advance. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. We'll crank up the speed because we're not doing anything particularly interesting right now. We are going to draw up a battle line on Shaanxi right now just to get that planning bonus. Just in case they refuse the next focus that I go down, because I go down the Shaanxi offer, which essentially allows me to try and puppet them Most of the time they say yes, or not puppet them, I'm sorry, annex them. Most of the time they say yes, but occasionally they do say no, in which case it doesn't really matter that they said no. Because you can just crush them anyways. Also, interestingly enough, these guys start off, it's the game, as a Chinese, as a puppet to me. But they don't stay that way, ever. I know they have a focus tree path where they can stay with me. The accept Chinese, the suzerain, I'm not going to pronounce that. But they never go down that path. And they also almost never go it alone. They almost always do collaborate with the Japanese. So, that sucks. I really wish they'd stay. Or at least do the go it alone so I can eat them later. But they almost always do the worst offer of the bunch, which is to go with the Japanese. At least the worst offer for me. Start time up again. We got political decisions. Oh, that's right. We got actual political power now. Remilitarization of the Rhineland. Now, as far as I'm planning to stay non-aligned. I have done games where I go fascist, and that can be very beneficial. The big thing about going fascist is that it kind of slows down some of your other recovery progress because you're worried about going fascist. I also always send aid here. I know it reduces civilian or increases civilian factory use, but I don't know. Do I want any of these people? Probably not. They left. See, that's what I'm talking about. They went down of course, the focus tree's gone now, but they went down that path that allowed them to leave, and they joined the Japanese instead of going it alone. So I'm going to build infrastructure here because I need steel. So that'll give me a little extra steel. Get a civilian factory back from that. These guys are now just on this border, which is fine. I have no idea what the Japanese are... Ooh, actually, they are doing something. In fact, they went non-aligned. Okay, so they did support the Coda faction. Alright, cool. That makes things easier on me by a lot. Because now I don't have to have Japan breathing down my neck, timing me to see if I can get enough of China taken over in time and recover enough divisions to stand a chance in fighting them. So we still have a negative 2,000 deficit in infantry equipment, which is a pain. But that is why I left things on the old small arms, because switching this, we'd lose all that progress in our efficiency. So just leave it there, at least until we can get our resource situation or our gun situation figured out. My apologies. I also like to zoom in and out a lot. So I apologize if that's annoying. And it looks like Shaanxi accepted the offer, which is great. I'm going to immediately go down the anti-communist construction. I know that there's not as much pressure to continue moving quickly down that tree now that we do have the Japanese following the non-aligned path. But I still like to unite China very early, simply because the earlier we get united, the more I can take advantage of the benefits that come from having that land. And really, after you take out the communist Chinese here, you really snowball, because your next focus is the unified China focus, which essentially does what we just did to Shaanxi for every single warlord. Normally, I find that they go about 50-50 in what they say. But I did have the last time I played China, I actually did that focus, and they quite literally all told me to piss off. So that was terrifying. But I still took them all over. It's not particularly hard. Guangxi can be kind of a pain, and it stinks because they are definitely one of the ones you want the most, simply because of their resources. I mean, they control a lot of good natural resources down here, including quite a bit of steel, which is necessary for just about everything in the game. So they're one of the first ones you really want to take over. And they oftentimes, I think, are one of the ones that says no to your demand to be eaten. As for the rest of them, especially these guys, this is just for font size. Let's be honest. I mean, you're still going to annex them because font size, but they are not nearly as valuable as the Guangxi click. Even the Yunan click gives you some access to these Indo-Chinese areas that you can eventually work on taking away from their current owners. That especially becomes helpful if France decolonizes this area and you have this entire region taken over. You can really just steamroll the nations that pop out over here. My general's dying. I don't care. All right, we finished our anti-communist construction, so we're going to strike at the bandits. And that will give us the war goal against Communist China. So once that completes, we will go ahead and declare war against the commies. We're not doing great on infantry equipment still, though we are in the positive now, so that's wonderful. We've got 10 of the... we've got 10 of our army experience running right now. We've actually got 12 with divisions in these San Juan. Is that what these are? I don't know. I don't know why I said San Juan. That is most certainly not a Chinese. San Hiao? I don't know. Whatever that says. They're 12 with, and to my knowledge in this game, you typically don't want to run with 12 with. Ideally, you want to have either 10, 20, or 40, with 40 really only being useful in places like Europe with absolutely massive supply. So here in China, the supply isn't dreadful. It's not nearly as bad as in like Africa or as in South America, I don't believe. But the supplies are not as good as Europe. So I think 10 width is going to be plenty good enough. So I'm actually going to remove a infantry unit from there. What would it cost? I would have negative 178 in storage. I'm actually... Oh, I can't do that. Okay. Never mind. So we're just going to save that. And what that is going to do is give us some infantry equipment back into storage. Like 3,000 of it, I think. Which is wonderful. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to keep building artillery with the hopes that eventually we will be able to add artillery into our units. Alright, so we're going to strike at the bandits. I think next we could go down national reform. In fact, that's probably a really good thing to do considering that corrupted economy is really harsh. So we're going to do that. Usually I'm stuck between national reform and maybe doing the Academia Sinica just because our research is so bad. But all these are fine choices. They all fix some of the massive problems you're going to face starting off as the Chinese. I don't remember how to get to all this. I think you have to beat Japan. I think that's how that works. But anyways, we're going to slow it down a little bit. And okay, I've got these guys right here. So we're going to declare this war. Alright, there we go. Yep, and we get all those bonuses for being at war. You can see here's the divisions I was talking about. You got 8, 6, and 6. So they spawn right here. Initially, you cannot put a front line on them. I just let the game play for a second, and now I can draw this up here. So with these troops right here, they can move here, cut them off. They're going to sit here, and they're going to starve out for a little while because there's obviously they're not going to be on a port. They're not coastal, and there's no cities here, I don't think. So they have no access to any kind of resources. The only way they could get resources is transport planes, and it's Communist China. They're not going to get transport planes. So I just realized I don't think I drew battle plans. Shame on me. Another nice thing, oftentimes the other Chinese warlords will join in. And of course, because the AI is completely incompetent, it actually doesn't matter if any of them except for Ma Click joins in, because they're the only ones with a border with the Chinese communists. If these guys join in, it's great and all, but they won't do anything. In fact, usually they won't even let you take their forces, which is what happens a lot late game, is that your allies don't want to help you, but instead they'll say, hey, here's my guys, go do something with them, instead of controlling them themselves. But these guys won't even do that. They'll join the war, and they'll be like, yeah, kill the commies, and then they won't do anything. So these guys are pretty useless in the war. These guys are great. You do get a lot of non-aggression pact offers in this war from the other warlords, and I always turn them down because I know that as soon as I'm finished with this war, I'm going to be killing them ASAP. I'm also going to advance on these guys. Now, last time I fought the Communist Chinese in this game, it took quite some time for me to whoop them back. They definitely hold moderately well. They've got some fortifications, yeah, down here in the south especially, which ironically that's where we're right in the streets. That's okay. Ironically, that seems to be where we're breaking through the best. But really, I'm pretty sure. Okay, the Guangxi click joins. I'm pretty sure if you take their capital, they immediately capitulate. If not immediately, very soon after. So we are just going to push and push and push. The lovely thing about being China is that you don't got to worry about manpower ever. So that is a wonderful thing. And we are holding the line well here. We've caught them where they are. We're going to draw an offensive line right here. We're not going to push quite yet. We're going to let their supply and organization die out a little more. Alright, there's the Union click joining. Apparently the Ma click joined. I didn't see that. I might need to push in here. Actually, in fact, it looks like some of their divisions may have already died. Because I'm pretty sure these were two stacks of 6 and a stack of 8. So I believe some of their divisions have already died. I'm actually going to go ahead and push on them. Yeah, as you can see, they're holding quite well down here. The reasoning behind that is unbeknownst to me, probably just because we don't have enough soft attack. We're going to try and do a little cheeky move and run down through their country to their capital. Because we are occupying all of their units. So unless this unit, which is now in battle, comes and stops me, I'm not sure they have anybody to stop me. So we are going to continue to occupy this guy until this guy can hopefully get all the way down there. Yeah, you see, I'm getting all these non-aggression pact offers. I'm not accepting them. I don't remember if there's any big penalties for breaking and then immediately declaring on somebody you had a non-aggression pact with. But I know that there are in other games, and that has made it to where I don't want to do it, regardless of the penalties or lack thereof. Good, and looks like we are finishing off this group of commie units up here. And we've taken their capital. That might capitulate. No, 98%. Outstanding. Where are you going? Sit in that capital. Okay, there we go. They've capitulated. Outstanding. Somehow the Ma click got 11 war score. Don't ask. We're going to take all states. Yep. Alright. And I think I'm actually going to end things there. I don't know how long this is running. I'll have to keep track of how things are going next time. But that's a good start. We took over the Shaanxi. We've taken out the Communist Chinese right here, which by far is the hardest challenge for starting out as Nationalist China, except for the obvious Japan. But we've also determined that they are not going to be coming after us right away. They are going back to the authoritarian government style with their King Hirohito instead of Emperor Hirohito. So yeah, pick it up in the next part. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.